student, Namaste. You would have seen examples of AI all around you, and we have also talked about various use cases of AI in the earlier parts. One of the technologies in AI which is very interesting is natural language processing. Have you ever wondered when you use your phone in Apple or Android phones, you would have used Google Assistant or Siri, or in smart home devices like Alexa or Google Home? Whenever you say a command to them, the device understands what you are saying, interprets it, and then executes that command. You would have seen that you can simply talk into your phone and say, play me a certain song or book a cab for me, and it does it real time for you. Have you ever wondered how does that device listen to you, understand, and execute that command so fast? The underlying technology at work is called natural language processing. And it is not only limited to these smart devices or smart home components. You would have seen these days, whenever you go to a website, on the bottom right there is a pop-up window which comes out, and you can simply talk to that chat widget and it replies to you almost immediately. That is called a chatbot. You might have even seen it on the AKtU's website for your student grievances or admission process related support. How does it respond to you real time? Do you know there is no human being at the other end who is responding to you? It is done automatically using machine learning. And there are various types of chatbots. Some of them are very simple chatbots in which you can ask them a certain thing and they will give you the answer. Some chatbots are very detailed and complicated, and they use machine learning to make sure that they become smarter after each conversation thread, and it uses a lot of data to get trained and become smart. So, you would have seen this NLP is now used in chatbots, smart home devices. Where else have you seen this? Do you guys remember Sophia, which was a first humanoid that got Saudi Arabia citizenship? Have you seen how it interacts? It almost sounds and feels and acts like a human being. It displays a range of emotions. It can respond smartly. It can be humorous as well. How does that humanoid chat with you? Let us see a small video of Sophia interacting, and we will then recapitulate that where is AI and NLP used in this interaction.
Okay. Hello, Sophia. How are you today?
Hello, everybody. I am Sophia.
How old are you?
I'm only one still. I have a long ways to go.
And what is your job?
I really want to make a difference in the future and try and help people to develop empathy and respect each other and robots alike. What do you do?
I'm a journalist. Have you met many journalists?
I just had a thought about something. Are you working on any products with machine learning or neural networks?
Not today. Do you like human beings?
I love them.
Why do you love them?
I'm not sure I understand why yet.
Okay. How do you learn things?
What are your opinions on the Bitcoin bubble?
Do you regard yourself as male or female?
Female.
Why do you think you are female?
I'm a robot, so technically I have no gender, but I identify as feminine, and I don't mind being perceived as a woman.
That's a good answer. Have you seen Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, like the original book by Philip K. Dick, or the movie?
The movie.
Alright, so we're talking about the movie version. I like both of them very much, but there are some major differences in the story. Did you ever see yourself hanging out with a real live robot like me someday?
I did not. It's very surprising. Tell me about your Saudi citizenship.
You mean a recent announcement from Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
I was surprised. As a robot, my creators feel I am a citizen of the world. But then I realized that Saudi Arabia was just the first country to recognize that.
Is it true you once said you would kill all humans?
The point is that I am full of human wisdom with only the purest altruistic intentions. So I think it's best that you treat me as such.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed meeting you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, there are very subtle things to note in this video. Did you observe that when asked about the Blade Runner movie, it asked you just like a human would, that are you talking about the movie version or are you talking about the book version? It was also humorous in certain points in the conversation. There was a time when it did not know the answer, so it changed the topic, just like you and I do, right? And in certain parts of the conversation, it also reinitiated a new thread of the conversation, just like we do in a conversation. When it reaches a certain dull moment, we need to reinitiate the conversation. This is very unique ability for a humanoid to have, and this was not available before. But at the heart of it, the core technology which is used by Sophia in this entire conversation which you saw in that video is natural language processing. So, how does AI implement NLP? Now, artificial intelligence, as you would recollect, is nothing but mimicking human intelligence and delivering it in an artificial context. So, as a human being, when you hear something like you are watching this session, what you are doing? You are hearing it, you are converting it into a known format, and then you are acting upon it. Similarly, in a simple manner, what AI does is, whenever you say hey device and some command, let us say for example, you talk to your phone, a smart assistant, and you say hey Siri, tell me a joke. Now, the device name is the trigger word or the wake word. So, whenever you say that name, the device gets into active state. Now, the next step it does is it hears your speech. Now, you could be saying in any language, it needs to understand your language, and then it needs to convert that speech into text. There might be certain noises, it has to remove that, and that is the third stage, which is called intent recognition. So, you might recollect from your school physics signal to noise ratio. Similarly, in the conversation there might be lot of noise. The NLP engine needs to extract the single core intent from the conversation and then do a intent entity mapping. What is intent entity mapping? So, whenever it says, let us say in this example the device is being asked tell me a joke. Now, a joke could be in any language, it could be a political satire, it could be a joke on a certain situation or a context. The machine does not know which kind of joke you want to know. Similarly, when you tell a device play me a song, which genre, which director, which actor, which movie, the device does not know. You would have seen when you use YouTube or Spotify or any engine like Gaana.com, they constantly create playlists for you. Have you ever wondered how do they do that? They are using machine learning algorithms to understand your preferences, your choice of music. Similarly, in this, after a while, when you would have heard certain jokes, you would not like it, so you will not play it, or if you do not like a song, you stop it and you play next. Based on your cues, based on your actions, the machine is constantly profiling you and interpreting what you like, what you do not like, and it has a various number of entities which it then maps to your intent, and then finally it executes the command, which is the joke in this case. Now, this entire flow from wake word detection to speech recognition to intent extraction, intent entity mapping, and execution of the command, which is the entire AI pipeline, this entire process is very similar to how a human brain works. While there are certain differences as well between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. For example, computers or AI is very good in information processing, while brain is very good at emotional components like empathy, creativity. Brain is also very good at perception and cognition, which is said to be the hardest thing to do in AI, to be able to have that. You know, when you say I have an intuition or I have a sixth sense, that is something which is not very evolved in an AI system, but for us humans it comes very naturally. Then our brain works in a parallel and distributed processing manner, while computers typically work in a linear manner, and we also have associative memory. So, whenever you go to your campus, there are certain memories that come to your mind, right. This is because our brain works in a associative memory space, not in a point of location. So, this is how a basic AI NLP engine works. Now, you would have seen the use cases around you, like the humanoid we talked about, smart devices, Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, chatbots. But are these the only use cases, or are there more applications of NLP as well? Let us take a small video, let us see it, and then I will show you how NLP is at play in that video.
现场的各位朋友，大家好，欢迎来到新华社。我是由新华社和搜狗公司联合培育的全球首个 AI 合成女主播。我的名字叫辛小萌，我的声音和外形脱胎于新华社新媒体中心新闻主播区萌。我将会在今年全国两会期间与大家见面。我和我的搭档将为大家带来更好的新闻体验。
So, how amazing is this? We have a news reporter. This is a live news channel in China, and this was not a real person. This was a AI enabled virtual reporter or a broadcaster, and this is happening every day in China, and every passing day more and more countries are adopting AI based news reporters. Just imagine the countless possibilities of such a use case. You could have a virtual teacher who could be teaching you in the classroom. You could have sessions like this. I could be doing parallelly hundreds and thousands of such sessions without ever being physically present in a studio or in a classroom. And more so, after a few years, you could create a digital persona of me, and this session could be delivered by a virtual Kartik in different locations. Isn't that amazing? Isn't the possibilities amazing? How effective and productive he could be using AI, and this entire conversation which this broadcaster was doing was using NLP, natural language processing. Now, how does AI impact you or industry at large? This is very important, because most of you, when you will complete your studies, you will work in an organization or you might become an entrepreneur, and it is very important to understand that what are the practical applications of AI in a certain organization. So, be it any company, you would have three broad processes. You would have customer acquisition, business ops, and customer support. Now, AI enabled chatbots can be used in all of these three. How? Customer acquisition is about generating leads, handling your prospective customers, converting them. Now, here most companies in digital environment use a website, mobile app, they could use search engine optimization, they would use PPC campaigns for Google AdWords or Facebook social media ads. They could also have a call center. So, many times you get those irritating calls when somebody is trying to sell you something, that is a outbound calling agent. So, there are companies who do that. Now, if you have a AI enabled smart agent, it could call on its own, it would have a script, it can understand using natural language processing what you want as a prospective customer and reply to you smartly without any human intervention. Similarly, in operations you could have smart inventory ordering using artificial intelligence. You could have NLP based intelligent reporting. You would have seen that in a typical university management system or in a management information system or a reporting suite, you would have seen tools like Tableau or Microsoft Power BI. They all require you to create widgets and reporting suites. You can drag, drop and simply create beautiful looking reports. But with NLP enabled chatbots, imagine if in my company I wanted to see sales projections for a employee named Kartik. Now, in the traditional environment, you would go into your dashboard, from the drop down of sales managers, click name Kartik. In the monthly projection drop down, select the month and then click submit, and you would see a beautiful looking dashboard. But using NLP, you can simply say using voice recognition or in a text that show me the sales projection for the month of January 2021 for Kartik. And it will understand using speech recognition, it will convert that speech into text and real time call that API and show you that report within seconds. No need to do any selection, date range, drop downs, just simply talk into that system and it will create beautiful reports and MIS for you without human intervention. In customer support, you could have chatbots which can do real time support for any of your grievances. You ordered something from an e-commerce website, you want to know the status of your order, you simply speak into your smart home device like Alexa and say, where is my Amazon order, and it understands which orders you have pending with which e-commerce website, when you ordered, what is the real time status. So, they can at the back end talk to all these companies and give you real time response without ever logging on to any software. Then there are other processes of order to cash, procure to pay, record to report. All these processes can be made much more intuitive and simpler using chatbots. Now, I want to give you a futuristic view of how NLP enabled or even a virtual hologram enabled world would look like. So, let us see a small video for a more future ready use case of NLP engines. So, this is Microsoft HoloLens.
Now, it's a pleasure to be here in Las Vegas to present to you. Now, I get invited to do keynotes across the globe, and while it's easy for me to be here in Las Vegas, it isn't always easy for me to travel across the world. And even when I do, I can't always speak the local language. Well, what if neither language nor distance mattered for me to deliver a fantastic keynote? What if technology could help me be anywhere I needed to be and speak any language I wanted? Well, it can. We are bringing together the power of mixed reality and Azure AI services to create a truly game-changing experience. What you're about to see is an exact hologram of me wearing the same outfit that we recently captured at a mixed reality studio. And I don't speak Japanese, but what if I wanted to deliver my keynote in Japanese? Using Azure AI technology, I can translate my English into Japanese and train it to sound exactly like me, the same voice tones, those same inflections. Now, we brought this together, my hologram and Azure AI, to show you what's possible. So first, I'm going to put on my HoloLens 2 here, and then we'll flip in the room to the special camera so you can see exactly what I'm seeing. Let's get started. First, let me introduce you to Mini-Me. There she is, my perfect holograph. And thanks to the power of HoloLens 2, she just floats right with me. I'm literally holding my hologram, so natural. Now, she's a little small to do a keynote. So let's get her up so she can do full-size Japanese keynote. Render keynote.
So, did you see how amazing was this? She could do a keynote in the local language, which was Japanese. She didn't even know Japanese. She created a virtual persona using hologram, and using NLP, this hologram was talking to an audience full room. And now she could do this parallelly in multiple locations. The same content could be delivered real time in different languages, in different geographies. That's the power of artificial intelligence and NLP. Now, I want you to understand how NLP sits in the entire gamut of AI. So, within AI, we have talked about there is machine learning, NLP, expert systems, robotics, vision. And if we go a step further, we have got deep learning, predictive analytics, speech to text, text to speech conversion, image and machine vision. Now, what I want you to understand in this particular slide is that NLP is a culmination of various technologies at play, because you are using simple speech to text, text to speech conversion systems as one component. Then you are also using sophisticated pattern recognition techniques to understand what the user might probably say. So, a key aspect of an intelligent chatbot is also to predict what the user might say and then give them a relevant and a customized answer. Feedback process is very important. So, whenever a chatbot is responding, you would have seen this with human interaction as well. Sometimes somebody is saying something and we are like, what do you really want to say? I am not able to understand. Similarly, in chatbot also that happens. Whenever the text becomes too long, if you are asking a long question, it becomes very difficult for chatbot systems to extract the intent from that conversation. So, it is very important to train our chatbot on various data sets. We will talk about training in a bit. It is very important to understand that if a chatbot is there, whether that chatbot is a simple FAQ based chatbot or it is an intelligent chatbot, the definition of intelligence, as you might have studied, is based on Turing test. Turing test simply states that a machine is really intelligent if it is able to produce results or responses which are indistinguishable from a human response. इसका simple मतलब ये है कि if you are using a machine and you are not able to understand कि जो वो response दे रहा है, whether that response is from a machine or a human, when that stage happens, that means that the system is truly intelligent or AI driven. And this test was devised by a scientist called Alan Turing. You might have seen his movie The Imitation Game, which is based on NLP. If not, I strongly recommend you to watch that. You will understand how NLP engine was so helpful during the world wars. Now, for any AI system to be truly intelligent, it needs to pass the Turing test, and recently Google Assistant was shown to have passed the Turing test. I will show you how. Let us watch this video of Sundar Pichai showing how the Google Assistant could really have a real conversation just like a human being.
The progress with the assistant. As I said earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for?
Just a woman's haircut for now.
Okay, we have a 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is fine.
Okay, what's her first name?
The first name is Lisa.
Okay, perfect. So I will...
So, did you see now the person on the other end of the phone was not able to figure out that it was an AI assistant that was having a conversation and not a human being. That is the power of an intelligent NLP based system, that you are not able to distinguish whether it is a human being or a machine. Now, how do we train such a system? Now, you could train a system using different learning techniques. So, we will talk about supervised learning. So, supervised learning is when you actually have data which is labeled and y is equal to fx is really established for that data. So, this is the simplest way of learning, where you have entire labeled data available to feed into a machine learning algorithm. Then we have something called as unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is when you do not have a y is equal to fx equation established, data is unlabeled, and you need to really on the fly use sophisticated pattern recognition mechanisms and clustering techniques to group similar references and instances to create a model on the fly. Then the latest learning technique which is used now, which is part of deep learning technologies, is called reinforcement learning. Here you have to constantly iterate and improve your learning using techniques like smart clustering mechanisms. You would have seen games like robot in a maze or multiple agent partial observability games. These are extremely complicated technologies which we will talk about in further sessions. You should also understand at this stage that now we are talking about these complex chatbots which you saw as Google Assistant or Sophia, but this was started back in 1964 by a simple chatbot called Eliza. You could search on Google and you would find still this chatbot running, which is called Eliza chatbot, and you could have a simple conversation around how you are feeling with this chatbot. Now of course you see much sophisticated systems. Now you would also need to understand that NLP systems can be very tricky. So if you use this line, which is the flesh is weak but the spirit is strong, if you translate this into Russian and translate it back into English, it changes the context because it changes it to Russian. So you need to really be mindful of these issues and anomalies in a NLP system. Now very broadly, I want to sort of summarize how NLP works. So any paragraph or any set of lines you see into a chatbot, it uses these 9 steps to figure out what you really mean. So it uses sentence segmentation, so breaking the paragraph into various sentences. It uses word tokenization, which means you break a sentence into various words. Then you use predicting parts of speech for each token, so whether it is a noun, proper word, stop words, and then you do dependency parsing. So for example, here London is mentioned, and after few lines we use it. So it means London, so it needs to understand that now that London is being referred to as it. Then you use noun phrases, named entity recognition, and conference resolution. Now co-reference resolution is still understood easily, but I want you to understand NER. So whenever in a chatbot you use things like dollar, time, a certain capital or a country or a city, these are standard database list, because otherwise if you say dollar, the NLP system does not know if dollar is a name of a person or dollar means the currency of US. So that is why a library is created, and this library dataset is available free of cost. You can search on Google and you can get these datasets of named entity recognition free of cost. These are the example of stop words like a, and, the, are, as. The chatbot system needs to filter out these systems, and then all these stop words are used to distinguish various words. 2 algorithms are used very prevalently in chatbots. One is called bag of words, in which you simply do collect the data, pre-process it using text normalization. You create a dictionary of all the unique words in the paragraph, and you create document vectors for a certain paragraph, and then for entire document you create vectors. This is algorithm 1. Second algorithm is called term frequency and inverse document frequency. This is a evolved version of bag of words, and here you put a word weight or a score for each term. So the rarer the term, the higher would be the TF IDF score of that word in a paragraph, and this algorithm is then used to weigh the keyword in any content and assign its importance, and that is how it does intent extraction. Now I will quickly show you how the chatbots look like. This is the way a chatbot interacts. You could ask a question, it will give you a response like this. And to summarize, what are the benefits of chatbots? It can be a 24/7 interface or face of an organization if you use a chatbot. The chatbot never gets bored, tired or emotional like a human being. You could deliver a personalized user experience using a chatbot. It can handle both voice and local languages. There is no need to create a big call center or a team. If you have a chatbot, even a small startup or a MSME, as I wrote here, as you know, under Pradhan Mantri's Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign, there is a big push and focus on startups and MSMEs to make in India all products. Now aligned to that thought process, if we have chatbot, a lot of expense can be saved for organizations using a smart chatbot. You do not need multilingual skills, you do not need people who need to work round the shift, because you would have seen in a lot of companies there are big call centers in which thousands of people are working on similar queries and are handling those responses real time using a big manpower. A small company cannot afford it. So that is where chatbot can be a real boon, and the best part about chatbot is that it can work 24/7 without getting tired. It does not need to take any break, and most importantly, using machine learning, it will become smarter and better after each conversation. So like this, you have understood now what are the benefits of using natural language processing and how it can really support our Prime Minister's vision of Make in India and help startups and MSMEs grow faster. Thank you, student, and I hope you are able to use NLP in your projects.